I'm recording this on Tuesday morning. It's been a couple of days since the Orlando shootings. It's still, as much as I've heard about it and seen it on TV, it still doesn't seem real to me. I don't really know what I'm going to say. It's kind of personal to me, as it is to a lot of people. I was born in Orlando. I grew up in Orlando. I worked a few blocks away from that nightclub for over 20 years. I know exactly where it is. I know the area. As a matter of fact, I was born at the hospital where they took the victims of the shooting, which is about a mile from the shooting. It's just a sad situation all around. I know a lot of Hispanic people in Orlando, in the Orlando area, from family and extended family and friends. And I actually know a few gay Hispanic people in Orlando from extended family and friends. Fortunately, I don't think I knew anyone who was involved with the shooting, anyone who was there at the time of the shooting. But it's a very, very sad situation, and it didn't take politicians 10 minutes to come out and try to make points on this shooting. There's been a lot of crazy talk on both sides of the issue. A lot of Rambos saying that, oh, if I had been there, I would have stopped the shooting and blah, blah, blah. And you can't blame the victims. It would be nice if victims would try to fight back. It can sometimes be hard to understand how a crowded room full of 300 people can't stop one person, but we weren't there. We don't know. We don't know strategically how he was positioned. He may have been difficult or impossible to get to the person to try to attack him. The natural instinct is to run, and that's what I would have done. I'm not, John Wayne. I wouldn't try to rush in unless I saw an obvious chance, or if it was a last desperate hope that was my last chance to do anything. And we're hearing too now that the doors may have been padlocked, that the exit doors may have been padlocked, and if they were, that is not good news for the owners of the property. Now, I don't know. I don't want to be repeating wrong information, but news has been reporting that. And if that's true, if the owners did have some of the exit doors padlocked, that's not a good thing. As they had pointed out, that there could have been 200 or 300 people killed if there had been a fire in that situation. The media is always quick to point out don't blame Muslims, don't blame all Muslims for the attack, and I agree with that. There are a lot of good Muslims. It's not every Muslim is a terrorist, and that's not correct. It's not true. There's enough of them that it's a concern, but you can't blame Muslims in general for this. And by the same token, you can't blame guns for this. There are hundreds of millions of guns in the country. If they banned every gun in the country tomorrow, bad guys would still find guns for the next 1,000 years just off of the ones that exist now. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of guns in the country. I've heard so much bad information about the guns that were used. They were fully automatic. They were capable of firing 700 rounds a minute. I heard Obama on TV yesterday, I know this is right because I saw it myself, said the shooter was legally able to buy a Glock that had a lot of clips in it. These are the people that want to make our gun laws. These are the people that want to restrict guns from law-abiding citizens. You don't need an AR-15. Those aren't good for anything except killing people. I've heard that in the last few days. I heard a younger person yesterday said to me when we were discussing this, I don't want to live in a world where I have to carry a gun to feel safe. Well, I don't want to live in a world with racist and terrorists either, but that's the world we live in. You can't get everything you want. People need to understand that you don't get the world you want, you get the world as it exists. You can do things to try to change it, but attitudes like that, to me, I don't want to live in a world where I don't feel safe unless I carry a gun. That, to me, I don't even know what to say to that. I believe if some of the people were armed at the nightclub, people would have died, but I think fewer people would have died than did die. It's never a good situation when the only person that has a gun is the bad guy. And I'm sure if I don't want to make this sound demeaning or belittling in any way, but I believe if the people that were being shot would have had an option of having a gun, I'm sure many of them probably would have wished that they had one. I catch my wife all the time going out the door, and I ask her, "Are you carrying your gun?" And usually she says yes. And I say, "Okay, fine, see you later." Sometimes she says no, and I just give her the look and give her the speech every time. You never know when you're going to need a gun. You could have a gun 10,000 times walking out the door, never need it. That's what you hope for. You don't want to have to use a gun. But on the 10,001st time, when you're out without a gun and you need a gun, how are you going to feel if you don't have it with you? It's a terrible, terrible situation. Basically, to boil it down and make this not a 20-minute long video, you can't blame Muslims for the violence in general. You can't blame guns for violence in general. You have to blame terrorists and sick individuals. That is who is responsible. That is what is responsible for this. Banning guns will not do anything except mean that fewer law-abiding citizens will have guns, and the bad guys will have guns all day long. All right, guys. Take care, be careful, and love each other.